saw it live. Lexi Hall boxes out perfectly, then A'ja Wilson barges over her back, grabs the ball, and instead of an obvious over-the-back foul, the refs call a jump ball. On screen, commentators freeze. On the bench, coaches boil. Online, fans erupt. This wasn't a one-off mistake. It was the spark that blew the lid off a season-long officiating crisis in the WNBA. Today, we're tracing how a single viral clip became Exhibit A in a league-wide rebellion, exposing why players, coaches, and fans alike say enough is enough. Late in the fourth quarter of an astonishing Indiana Fever victory over the Las Vegas Aces, the team that had dominated them in their previous 16 matchups, the pivotal moment came on what should have been a routine defensive rebound. With 3 minutes and 12 seconds remaining and the Fever clinging to a 6-point lead, Lexi Hall positioned herself 2 feet from the backboard, her hips squared, elbows out, and eyes locked on the flight path of the long-missed jumper. As the shot fell short, Hall sprang upward, arms extended, securing the ideal box-out stance. Her body wedged firmly between A'ja Wilson and the rim. Instead of establishing her own rebound space, Wilson lunged from behind, her arm rising over Hall's shoulder in a clear, over-the-back maneuver. She made full contact, her forearm pressing into Hall's chest, knocking Hall off balance just as she gathered the ball. Under any standard officiating rubric, that sequence triggers an immediate over-the-back foul. The rulebook explicitly prohibits a player from reaching over an established opponent to claw at the ball. Yet, rather than blowing the whistle, the referees conferred and signaled for a jump ball. The possession arrow consequently flipped in favor of Las Vegas, undoing Hall's textbook execution and gifting the Aces a lifeline. The broadcast cameras zoomed in as commentators voiced stunned disbelief. How did they miss that? She was all over her back. Even the arena PA let out an audible groan.
Up, shot won't fall. Wilson, what looks like over the back. Oh boy, jump ball is the call.
Wow. Stephanie White's upset about that. That was over the back. Wow. Watch this. That's a jump ball?
On the sideline, both head coaches raised their arms in protest. And in slow-motion replays, every angle confirmed Hall's legal box-out and Wilson's blatant infraction. But when play resumed, the Fever, not the rulebook, paid the price. This wasn't a borderline call or a 50-50 split. It was a clear, fundamental foul that went unpunished. And in that instant, officiating credibility shattered. For months, fans debated what felt like a league-wide open secret. Whistle Wilson, a nickname born from countless games where A'ja Wilson seemed to live at the free throw line while defenders got no such grace. But in this game, that suspicion turned undeniable. Wilson took 13 free throws, just 4 fewer than the entire Indiana Fever roster combined. That's not a minor imbalance, and that's a statistical red flag waving in plain sight. And then came the viral clip. A textbook box out by Lexi Hall, a blatant over-the-back by Wilson, and a jump ball call that stunned even the broadcast team.
Chelsea Mitchell never took her foot off the gas tonight, by the way. This is the best thing I've seen from Stephanie White all season. Right here, she was aggravated by the refs already, and in the fourth quarter, 5:35 left, Stephanie White lost her shit on the sideline. She lost her shit, and you see her just losing it up here, losing it, and she got teed up right there, and Caitlin Clark loved it, loved it. That is the best thing I've seen from Stephanie White all year.
Fans didn't have to squint or slow down the footage. It was clear. It was simple. It was wrong. That moment detonated online. Comment sections, highlight shows, and social feeds all erupted. Not with outrage alone, but with clarity. Theories gave way to certainty. It wasn't just that Wilson was getting favorable treatment. It was that the officiating had become an accessory to star protection. What once passed as fan paranoia was now captured in full speed, full frame, and full context. No edits, no ambiguity. It proved what many had long felt but couldn't prove. The WNBA's biggest names were playing under a different set of rules. And in a league fighting for legitimacy on a national stage, that kind of proof doesn't just hurt feelings, it shatters trust. The backlash wasn't confined to frustrated fans, it erupted from both dugouts in real time. On the Aces side, Becky Hammond, whose team gained the jump ball windfall and enjoyed a flurry of free throws, didn't mince words. She slammed the officials for allowing the contest to devolve into a rugby match, pointing out that her players, despite their championship pedigree, We're suddenly being forced into a street ball slog. We don't sign up to play rugby, Hammond declared. We sign up to play basketball. Meanwhile, Stephanie White of the Fever crossed lines rarely breached by professional coaches. Up by double digits and nursing a historic upset, she halted play to directly challenge the crew, drawing a technical foul in the process. Her public protest wasn't a momentary outburst. It was the culmination of weeks of behind-closed-doors complaints about uneven whistleblowing, late-game calls, and a perceived bias toward marquee names. That two leaders at opposite ends of the standings, one defending the league's top seed, the other steering an underdog squad to a breakthrough, would speak in unison speaks volumes. This wasn't about home court advantage or individual grudges. It was a coordinated flashpoint that exposed a fracture in the WNBA's officiating foundation. When even the beneficiaries of controversial calls refuse to accept them, it marks a crisis that transcends any single game or player. Sometimes the loudest protests happen without a single word. In the immediate aftermath of the jump ball no call, Lexi Hall stood at the free throw line, staring straight ahead as if the scoreboard had glitched. Her shoulders sagged, her eyes closed for a brief second. The universal gesture of disbelief from someone who followed the fundamentals only to see them ignored. That split-second reaction spoke volumes more than any post-game soundbite could. On the Fever bench, the unspoken alliance became even more vivid. When Stephanie White drew a technical foul for confronting the officials, Caitlin Clark, unable to play due to injury, sprang to her feet alongside teammates, cheering White's stand. Clark's body language transformed from a supportive spectator into a frontline defender, her raised arms and emphatic nods signaling that the entire roster stood behind their coach's challenge. No slogans or hashtags were needed. The visual solidarity sent an unmistakable message to the league office. Throughout the arena, other players mirrored that same tension. During breaks in play, dozens of Fever and Aces athletes converged near the scorer's table, heads huddled in rapid, urgent discussion. Another silent demonstration that the issue transcended individual teams. And when cameras panned to star veterans, their clenched fists and pointed glances toward the officials' table underscored a shared conviction. The current officiating standards were unacceptable. In that arena, every held breath and exchanged look became part of a collective, silent vote of no confidence in the WNBA's ability to police its own game. This explosive moment wasn't an isolated glitch, it's the culmination of a season-long trend. Statistical analysis shows Caitlin Clark alone drew 12 flagrant fouls across her 40 games in 2024, accounting for a staggering 17% of all such calls in the entire league. Yet a significant number of those incidents were never whistled live. Replays later upgraded many to flagrants, but by then the damage, to momentum, to player safety, to fan trust, was already done. Season after season, viewers have watched elite scorers escape with minimal contact calls, while fundamental defensive plays are routinely penalized or overlooked. Social media feeds brim with frame-by-frame breakdowns of uncalled grabs, holds, and elbows, clips that garner hundreds of thousands of views overnight. Commentators on national broadcasts now openly question the officiating consistency, remarking on tolerance for physicality one minute and over-fouling the next. Casual fans can't help but notice the disconnect. Without a whistle, superstars skate by on rough treatment. With a whistle, role players pay the price. That seesaw of enforcement doesn't feel like protect the player, it feels like protect the prolific. And when every corner of the basketball world, from analytics blogs to sideline reporters, points to the same fault lines, you know this isn't a one-off mistake. It's a fundamental fracture in the league's foundation that demands comprehensive repair. The WNBA is in the midst of a historic surge. Caitlin Clark's arrival drove a 170% spike in national viewership and a 30% jump in ticket sales for Indiana Fever games. Networks scrambled to flex her matchups into primetime slots. Merch sales soared. Corporate sponsorships followed. The league's momentum has never been stronger, but it's also never been more fragile. Because this growth isn't powered solely by basketball, it's powered by belief. Belief that what fans are watching is real, that outcomes are earned, not handed out by a whistle. If officiating calls into question the legitimacy of the product, if fans start thinking games are decided by which stars get the friendlier whistle, or which team the refs let play rougher, then everything from TV contracts to brand partnerships is suddenly at risk. This isn't just about missed calls anymore, it's about credibility, and if that goes, the whole foundation of the league's breakout moment could crack. This jump ball no call was more than a blown whistle. It was a flashpoint, illuminating a broader crisis. With coaches public in their dissent and players uniting in silent protest, the league can no longer ignore the problem. It's time for meaningful change, stricter officiating standards, transparent accountability, and a renewed commitment to fair play.